Chuck Matasic at Kodabow. Let's get together and look at a few things you can do on your Kodabow to make it work better and maybe give you a little more satisfaction when you're out in the field hunting. Let's begin by looking at some things that can quiet down the crossbow and items you should perhaps have on your Kodabow to make it work best. First, arrow hold down. We've got a couple dampeners. All our Kodabows ship with these two arrow hold down dampeners on the arrow hold down. It really dampens the noise that emanates from the shot right there. These are good to have. Put them on your crossbow, put them on your arrow hold down. It'll really help you out. The next thing is to look at your stock assembly. We use a castle nut back here to tighten on the stock tube. A castle nut is it's built with some little ridges in it, very much like the top part of a castle. That's why they call it that. And it really requires a specialized wrench. They come in different shapes and sizes, and that wrench is key to fit right into the openings on that castle nut. That's a kind of a pretty big wrench. The wrench I like the most is actually a flat wrench like so, and again you drop it right into the positions. I like to lower the stock all the way. That way I'm kind of locked in there and I can't scratch it and then really tighten it up. Now your Kodabow will come with this castle nut tightened up very securely, but if it does loosen, you're going to need an AR type wrench to tighten up that nut and ensure that it's tight. The next thing is stock removal. You can take the stock off your Kodabow. You pull the lever out and off as you pull backwards, and it slides right off, leaving a tube. And there's two types of tubes out there. There's a commercial spec tube and a mil spec tube. If there's a little angle cut on the back of the tube, odds are it's a commercial tube. The commercial tube has a little larger diameter than the mil spec tube. So if you're using an aftermarket stock of some type because you want to customize your Kodabow, it's important to buy that stock with either the commercial spec or the mil spec and know what you have. But your Kodabow ships with a commercial size tube. Now there's always a little bit of tolerance issue on these stocks, and they can rattle because there's a gap between the stock tube and the composite piece here. Now some folks are going to just lay a piece of tape on there, which can be unsightly, but it'll close up that, if it bothers them, but it'll try to close up that tolerance. What you can do, however, is get yourself some electrical tape, and what the plan would be to cut a piece about 3 or 4 inches long, about so, and what you're going to do is you're going to need something to snake that tape down into the stock. And this is a better way to kind of close up those tolerance issues by putting it in the stock. It might take a couple tries to do that, to get it to lay in just perfectly. And once you get it in to lay flat, you smooth it down, and then you're able to take away a lot of the tolerance issues that are going to exist, and then you don't have that rattle back and forth. Try one piece, try 2 pieces of tape if required till it's just the way you like it. So that's an option on the stocks. Now you're going to see some folks like they'll put an aftermarket stock, or even on our existing stock they'll want to put a butt pad on the rear of the stock. And you know, in our Kodabow we bring it up to the first position when we cock our crossbow, and we have an adapter plug that fits right in here, which centers your cocking rope. However, if you have a butt pad on your stock, that recessed area goes away. All you need to do is take that, since it's not going to go in there anymore, just turn it 180 degrees, center it on your rubber butt pad, and you can cock pretty much any aftermarket stock with kind of a rubber rear using your existing cocking rope without missing a beat. So that's what you can do there. Now, folks really chase after a lot of things to quiet the Kodabow. Sometimes they'll put limb dampeners on the limbs. We offer limb dampeners if you want to go ahead and do that. It's an option for you. I'm kind of neutral on limb dampeners. Remember that anything you put on the bow, you have to mind it. You got to remember that it's there. And the problem with these is if they slide up and down the limbs, it'll change your point of impact. Obviously, if you're out hunting and you rip this off somehow, again, you've affected how your bow will shoot and perform. So I'm kind of neutral on limb dampeners. I think a better way to go, at least initially, is get your bow, shoot it without anything, because our bow is quiet right out of the blocks. But consider string dampeners. And what's a string dampener? Well, there's a couple types out there, but typically they're going to fit in between the string or over the string. And here I've got a destringer on a Kodabow, and this one is made, and what's nice about our Kodabow strings is that in this case it's a black and brown string, so you can separate pretty easily 18 strands on one side and another 18 there, and you're just going to use your destringer, create an opening. This is an aftermarket product. They make it like a little spider, like a bug, so you'll buy it, and that fits right in there. When you tighten down your bowstring again, it's going to be held in place. You'll put this about 3 to 4 inches from the end of the limb, and it's going to help attenuate the noise. So that's a string dampener. So that's the type that fits between the bowstring. Now there's other types out there as well, and you'll use your string dampener in the same way. Some are made to fit actually over the bowstring. And in this case, you're going to use, in this case, a small piece of wire, almost like a cotter pin, and you're going to be able to use that on the end of your bowstring and thread very carefully through the product, and you're going to slide it down and work it slowly over your bowstring, again 3 to 4 inches from where you need it to be. So those are some types of string dampeners that you can use. Now, what's the effect of these? You put something on your string 4 inches from the limb end, you probably lose about 4 feet per second. So it's not a real big event, and it significantly quiets your bow. Now, if you're a Kodabow shooter, you're a self-reliant type to begin with, or you wouldn't have probably bought a Kodabow. So one thing you can do is go out and find an inner tube, a bike inner tube in this case. This is a mountain bike inner tube, and I'm going to suggest to you that maybe you spend zero money and make your own limb string dampeners. Give it a try, probably will work real well for you. All you're going to do is take that inner tube, you're going to cut a couple sections, kind of like you're cutting pepperoni. You'll end up with a couple little rings like this, and you'll find this is a mountain bike, a 26-inch mountain bike tube. It actually has a thick part and a thin part. The thick part is meant to be closer to the road to resist puncturing. So after you cut your piece, go ahead and lay it flat so the thin end is at one side, you're bisecting the thick end, and take a knife, razor blade, and just cut it into 2 pieces so you end up with something like this. And what you're going to do is perhaps even trim it a little shorter if you like, and you're going to put the thick end between the bowstring strands just like we did a minute ago. It'll be held in place there, and you have a little device that will attenuate the sound noise, and you'll have spent zero money. So go ahead and try this. We think it's one of the most effective things you can do in terms of putting a string dampener on a bow in terms of attenuating noise. And what it'll look like when you get finished is something like, let me grab a bow here. And again, this has an orange string, even better. So here is that mountain bike tube attenuator, sound dampener right on the string. Again, it's been put in place, separated between the orange and black string. Every Kodabow comes with string stops here, which are rubber, again, which help with the noise situation. But this will function very much like a commercial product. If I go to the other side of the bow here, here's another product that is commercially available. Again, fits between the strings. They work basically the same. One costs money, one you can make yourself, and it works just as effectively. So there's a couple ideas for you in terms of making your bow shoot better and perform better. So some good ideas. Just remember, whenever you put stuff on your bow, you got to pay attention to it. It's more things to worry about when you're out in the field. So it's always a trade-off. But always start out, shoot your bow as it comes right out of the box, and ensure you have these little devices working like arrow hold-down dampeners. After that, probably look at string stops and see if those, or string dampeners, see how those work for you. And hey, good luck out there, good hunting. I hope some of these tips were helpful to you. Thank you.